Hey everybody, for today's SAT math question, we are on a no calculator test and multiple choice. We're doing number 13 here today. What is the sum of all values of m that satisfy 2m squared minus 16m plus 8 equals 0? Go ahead and pause the video, and when you've found your answer, press play. So I'm going to show you two different ways that you could solve this. One is by factoring. Now first, I'm actually going to make this a little bit simpler by dividing both sides by 2. So I get m squared minus 8m plus 4 equals 0. So if I want to factor this, then I would have to find two numbers that multiply to 4 and add to negative 8. Okay, so I'm going to have m plus or minus something and another m plus or minus something. In order for the two numbers to multiply to a positive and add to a negative, they will both have to be negative numbers. But finding integers that multiply to 4 and negative 8, that's not going to work. So I'm just going to say that it's going to be m minus some number, I'll call it number 1, times m minus another number, and I'll call that number 2. And I know that these numbers have to multiply to positive 4, but they also have to add up to negative 8. Okay, so these two numbers will add up to negative 8. But these two numbers are not actually the two solutions. The two solutions are the positive versions of these. So it's the opposite of what's in here. So the two solutions are n sub 1 and n sub 2. So if the opposite of n sub 1 plus the opposite of n sub 2 is negative 8, then the sum of n sub 1 and n sub 2 must be positive 8. Now, the other way that I'm going to solve this, which might be the more intuitive way, is using the quadratic formula. And I can do that using either the 2, negative 16, and 8 coefficients, or 1, negative 8, and 4, and I'll use the simpler ones. So the quadratic formula is m equals opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So here, that would be the opposite of negative 8, which is 8, plus or minus the square root of b squared, so that's negative 8 squared, that's 64, minus 4 times a times c, so that's 4 times 1 times 4, and that is 16. All over 2 times a, so that is 2 times 1, which is 2. So I'll simplify to 8 plus or minus the square root of, and 64 minus 16 is 48, over 2. So the square root of 48, that can be simplified. So that's 8 plus or minus the square root of, and 48 is the same as 16 times 3. And the square root of 16 is 4, so we have 8 plus or minus 4 times the square root of 3 over 2. And that simplifies even further. I can divide both terms here by 2, so I get 4 plus or minus 2 root 3. So my two solutions are 4 plus 2 root 3 and 4 minus 2 root 3. So I have 4 plus 2 root 3 plus 4 minus 2 root 3, and the plus 2 root 3 and minus 2 root 3 cancel. 4 plus 4 is 8, so the sum of the two solutions is 8. So we are choosing option D for number 13.